I'll ask Jan, Philipp, Albrecht to come back on stage and maybe to kind of wrap things up for us. Jan, Philipp.
Thank you very much, and also thank you for all the panelists from today. I'd like to keep it short, but perhaps some notions to what I've heard and thought throughout these very deep-going and interesting panels, which of course were not the place to find answers already to all the questions being raised. I would even say that this is still the mood of starting a debate about regulatory framework for artificial intelligence and robotics, and for the ethical safeguards and questions which we have to discuss in society. Right. I hope that this is one of the occasions where we further develop these debates and where we invited also everybody to join further debates which we'll be having also in the European Parliament together to host also an exchange between all of those who are affected in this, in scientific networks or in businesses or also civil society groups. And I would very much like to continue these debates. I also think that what I've learned is, of course, we are in an urgent situation to come forward with regulation. I also learned that, of course, I mean, only regulating things new is not the issue. We have to look what has to be done and if it's needed. I would like to say that on personal data protection, I would even say that this is one of the fields where we have made the progress which is needed in order to regulate better, which means, for example, creating unified standards for the European market on the one side, but on the other side also bringing together the views of very different aspects of the processing of personal data. I would even say that we renewed the framework in a way that it is more looking at the impact of personal data processing activities and the impact of profiling activities, for example, on individuals, rather than only looking at these specific single processing taking place. But of course, these debates need to go on. But there are other fields where we didn't manage to do any progress at all until now. For example, we had Pepper here. There was a report on Pepper having security loopholes. We need to talk about IT security. There's no general standards on the European market, neither on the global scale. And we need to talk about the question which standards we need there, which liability rules also on security loopholes we need. We need also to have certain discussions about technology impact assessments in general in this area. And I think that there's quite a lot to discuss more in detail in the future. I'm hoping very much that the CeBIT also goes on hosting these debates in the future, because I think it will take several years and perhaps a decade to get these things moving. I would like to say just one thing, because we have distributed some of these brochures. We're having, in my political group in the Parliament, but I think that it's generally also for all the political groups, many members working on this across the board, because it's not only technology. This is also the impact on social and security, social security issues, on employment. This is the impact, for example, in defense. Impacts in economy and financial sector regulation. We're having these debates across the board. I'd like to invite you to have a look into that. You will find also on our website, on my website, English and German versions of it, and to give us feedback on the thoughts which we are bringing up there, on the general ideas on ethical safeguards, on boundaries also for developments perhaps, or also on the challenge to allow for further development to happen. I'd like to get this feedback, and I think that Marie Delvaux, my colleague also here, and all the other colleagues in the European Parliament would like to get it, because we'd like to get this debate on a European scale and on a global scale immediately. So whenever you have some thoughts, feel invited to just contact us directly. Thank you for being here, and thanks for managing, Brent.
Thank you. Thank you.